Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Laura and today I'm doing part 2 of that previous manga haul that I posted some time ago. I don't know how long I'm going to wait before I post this video. So the last manga haul I ended up picking up a lot of out-of-print book titles, and in this haul I'm picking up a lot of out-of-print single issues. If you weren't aware that manga came in single issues, I don't know that there are any, if many, that come out now in single issues. I'm certainly not following any, so I'm not sure. But certainly back in the late 80s, early 90s, manga was being published in single issues. This is a format that North American readers would have been really familiar with reading when they thought of comic books. This is how they thought of comic books. So it makes sense that the first manga that were published in English were actually published in a format that was palatable to a North American audience. It's why they would pick it up in the first place, because it looks like something they already are familiar with. So that's what I'm picking up in this particular haul. A couple of other little things, but all in the same kind of format. So there's lots of really cool titles in here and I'm really excited about it. A lot of them fill in gaps in collection because I actually do have quite a lot of single issues already, and so this just fills in a particular series. Means that I can read it. I'm really hoping that I can get through some of these before the end of the year. I did have a plan for reading them. I'm not sure if it's going to happen or not, just because I have other things kind of going on that I need to prioritize, but hopefully I will be able to dedicate some time and just whip through and read all of these single issues that I've got. I'm really excited about it. There's some really cool titles in here and I'm looking forward to showing them to you. So starting off with Rumiko Takahashi, I bought what I needed of the remaining of the Mermaid Saga. This was published in single issues and then later in their large trim format manga, and then again later in the smaller trim format manga. I have a little bit of both of the other editions. I've only read the first volume, but I've never read the entire thing. I wasn't super fan of it when I was reading it, but I am ready to check it out again. It's certainly more dark and less comedic than Takahashi's other works. So I've just been really curious about it. At least that was my impression at the time. I think my experience of Takahashi at that point was really just Ranma half, so it's time to go back and revisit this. I think the story has something to do with a man and a young woman. The young woman, I believe, is a mermaid, and it has something to do with that old folk tale of anyone who eats a mermaid's flesh will gain eternal life. So I think it has something to do with that. Possibly they're running away from someone, or he's protecting her. I can't remember exactly what the story was, but I now have a complete run of this, so I can actually read the story, which is great. And what is weird about this particular series is that every kind of story arc or volume was given a different title. So this is Mermaid Scar issue 1. Then I have Mermaid Forest issue 1 and issue 4. Mermaid's Gaze issue 4. Mermaid's Mask issue 2 and issue 3. And Mermaid's Promise issue 4. So that ends up filling in all the holes that I had in that particular collection, and now I can read it. Next, I think this is the complete series. I believe I looked it up and it was the complete series, so I'm just going to go with it. This is Spirit of Wonder. This is the same author as Wandering Island by Kenji Tsuruta. It is a pretty short looking series. It is an adult comic. There's quite a lot of nudity in some of the issues. I have flipped through it a little bit. I don't know too much about it. I guess I can't read the back. I was going to read the back and let you know, but I don't know anything about it. But I really do like that Wandering Island title, and I'm looking forward to reading a little bit more by Kenji Tsuruta. We weren't expecting to see a volume 2 of that, but now we have had an announcement that volume 2 of that particular title is coming out, so we are getting a little bit more in English, but this is another opportunity to read more Tsuruta. So I have issue 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And I really like Tsuruta's art style, so I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a good title. I don't know anything about it though, so I'm just judging that based on his reputation. I ended up completing what was available in English of this title. This is Pineapple Army by Kazuya Kudo and Naoki Urasawa. Naoki Urasawa is the illustrator of this title, and he is known for authoring titles like Monster and Pluto, and Kazuya Kudo is the author of Mai the Psychic Girl, which is another good title. This one didn't complete serializing in English, unfortunately. Hopefully, because of Naoki Urasawa's popularity and some other reprints of some of his titles, maybe Viz will give this one another chance, I hope. This was also published a little bit in kind of tankobon, or book volumes. I have only recently discovered that, actually, since buying this. I had no idea. I was completely shocked, and then I saw it on someone's shelf, and I didn't know, so I'm going to be on the lookout for those as well. But I really, in particular, like these manga single issues. The art is taken from someone else. I'm not entirely sure who it is. Maybe I should find out. Maybe I should actually dig into the title and find out who did the covers, because I really do like the covers on these. It says cover illustration by Darren Ching. I'm not familiar with that person, but as you see the covers coming up, they're all really quite nice, and I would be willing to, frame them and actually hang them on my wall. They're that good. I know there's a little bit of controversy about having another artist come in and make manga look a little bit more Western, or maybe a little more appealing, but I think these ones were quite nice. So we've got issue 1, 3, and if you look at this one, like, it's got quite a bit of a cubist vibe to it, which is cool. Issue 6, 7, and then the last one that I have is issue 10. So now I have all of what's available. I can read at least what came out, and really looking forward to it. Particularly happy about having these covers. And speaking of Mai the Psychic Girl, that's what's next. So we've got Mai the Psychic Girl. This is by Kazuya Kudo again, and Ryoichi Ikegami did the art. I think Mai the Psychic Girl, I'm not actually a big fan of the story. Like, it's a fun story, but I don't feel like it's very robust, and the characterization of Mai is really flat. But why you would buy this manga is for the art. The art in it is stunning. It is so beautiful. So really happy to have this. In addition to that, I have Mai the Psychic Girl and 2 other editions in kind of tankobon book volumes, but there's always little extras that you get in single issues, so I just really like collecting the single issues of these things as well, and I didn't need very much of it to actually complete the series, so I'm looking forward to getting to it. Probably won't read it in this edition, but I'll at least, look through all the extras and see what other little extra bits are available in it. But yeah, so beautiful, the art in this story. So this is issue 1. Then we've got issue 14, issue 17. I really like the colorization, particularly in the background. They just work for me. Obviously they just took some of the black and white art from the manga itself and colorized it, but it works. And then you've got issue 24, and this is one of my favorite bad guys in manga. He just looks like a 80s rocker, and it's fantastic. So my next stack is actually way too big to show you all of the issues, so I'm not going to show you them one by one. Also, the covers are not like that spectacular because it's actually a magazine, and that would be Super Manga Blast. So I got most of what is available. I did have a couple of issues already, and the place that I bought them from didn't have all of the issues, so I got what I could. I'm missing a couple from the end, or I'm missing more from the 50s, which is when it did finish serializing. So I don't have a complete run yet, but I have most of it, and the reason I ended up picking it up is because of this series, and I really like this cover. This is the art on the cover. It's just, it's called Club 9 by Makoto Kobayashi, and I had heard a rumor that the series was completed in Manga Blast. I knew it had been serialized in Manga Blast, and it was published in a book format up to volume 3. And there was always a rumor that there was a volume 4. And so then I had been hearing more recently that it had been completed in English in this magazine. I have since discovered that no, it has not been completed, but I'm anticipating that there are more chapters in here. So when this is a little bit more complete, I'll be able to read the complete thing. Seems like a lot of magazine to buy just to read a couple chapters of something, but there's a lot more extras into this. There certainly are a lot of different manga, of which I have all of them, at least this one. This one has Seraphic Feather, What's Michael, Shadow Star, and 3x3 Eyes. I actually don't think I have Shadow Star, but I have all the others collected in my collection, so I don't necessarily need this to read the manga. But there's lots of other extras. This was published in like 2002, 2003, right when I was getting into manga, and it just has so much nostalgia in it. There's a lot of advertisements in it. There's a lot of events and cosplay and people writing fan letters, and it's just fun to flip through these magazines. So I'm really glad to have them and collect them, and because it drops serializing, you know, I only have to collect 60 issues. Like, it's not really that big of a deal, particularly since magazines tend to be a little cheaper on the market. So hopefully there are more chapters that I can read, but because I am missing those kind of final issues, I probably won't have much till I complete this. But, you know, it's very hopeful. I love Club 9. It is so delightful and fun, and I cannot wait to read. Even if it's just one, it will have felt like it was worth it to me. So anyway, I got a lot of this. Like, a lot. The next title I picked up on a recommendation. That is Horobi by Yoshihisa Degami. Samuel Trejo, who has a channel on here, recommended this to me, I think. If my memory is serving me correct. If not, you're getting the credit for it. And this was recommended after I had read Grey, either end of last year, beginning of this year. And it was just a really interesting title, had some really neat ideas in it that I hadn't seen before, and it just intrigued me to read more of Yoshihisa Degami's work. So I don't know anything about this title, actually, except for that it's by an author whose other work I really liked. There are some strange characters on the covers. It leads me to believe this is more of a fantasy with kind of monsters in it. That's all. From the covers, though, if I had not known who the author was, probably wouldn't have picked it up. They don't really appeal to me, but knowing how much I really enjoyed that title, I'm really looking forward to getting into this one, and I was able to get my hands on the complete series, so here we are. So we have Horobi issue 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. See, it looks like a fantasy. 6, 7, 8. And then we have part 2, and part 2 was translated by Rachel Thorne. And once you start looking at the rest of the things that I picked up, you'll realize that this is, that Rachel Thorne, or like the pool at least of translators at the time, was really small, but this feels like a Rachel Thorne haul. So anyway, we've got part 2, issue 1, issue 2, 3, 4, 5. I should probably look at what I'm doing. 6. And the final issue is 7. I think this is the final issue. Let's hope I picked up the whole thing. But yeah, I'm looking forward to reading this. These issues are actually kind of a double size, so it looks like there's a pretty substantial amount to read in this story, and it should be fun. I'm looking forward to it. Plus, I know the translation will be good, so that's an extra bonus. And another title, this completes a series. Can't wait to read this one. Looks beautiful. Do I know anything about it? No. I think it's science fiction. This is Justy by Tsuguo Okazaki, issue 4, issue 7, issue 8, and issue 9. And Justy has really nice covers. Most back covers on these single issues are either advertising or they're, you know, just blank. But on the back of Justy, they're all the same, have a large font, and use 2 different contrasting colors. So this one is sort of a yellow-orange versus blue, opposite sides of the color wheel. Not that that matters to you, but there's always sort of a contrast in a silhouetted figure. I think it's always the same figure, but I just really like these back covers, and yeah, it's almost nicer to me than these front covers. The front covers are nice, don't get me wrong, but the back covers, yeah, that's nice design in my opinion. Looks like science fiction story, and the art looks like this. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it. A lot of the work that was early on seems to be science fiction in nature. Science fiction is not my favorite genre. I don't read it as often. I certainly kind of avoid it. I buy it, but I don't read it as much, and it's probably the most underread genre in my collection. But yeah, there seems to be quite a lot in these at least early single issues of science fiction manga. So that's always kind of interesting. Like maybe the people who were bringing it over saw it as being more palatable, or maybe that's what was popular in anime and manga at the time. I'm not entirely certain, but just sort of an interesting little thing. The next title that I have to show you, there's quite a few issues, but it actually does complete a series for me, and I can't wait to read it. It's going to be so good. And that is Area 88 by Kaoru Shintani. Kaoru Shintani is the same author as Young Miss Holmes, which I read either end of last year, beginning of this year. I absolutely loved it. It was so good. And there's more of her work that I get to read, so I can't wait. I expect this is going to have a lot of like fighter jets, and I read another title last year or the year before called Prowling Red Devil, which I really loved for its just sort of drawings of fighter planes and sort of aerials, and it was fantastic. So I really hope that that has a little bit of that in it as well, because it's sort of an unusual thing to get to read about. So anyway, I have issue 17, issue 18, and 19, just sort of a close-up. The art in this is really quite nice, and the covers have been quite nicely done. You will see a change in the design closer to the end, which I can't explain, so I'll point it out when we get there. Most of the 20s, so we have 20, 21, 22, 23, 25, 26, that's a nice cover, 27, 28, and 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, and here we go, 37. So what happened here? Like, why is it now a photograph and not a color illustration? They run out of illustrations? So weird. 38, 39, 40, and this isn't even a good picture. 41, and 42. I don't know. The pictures just kind of seem boring to me, the photographs. I would have preferred more drawings, but maybe they ran out? I don't know. Someone explain this to me, because I just can't imagine why that happened. I'm pretty excited about this. I was a little more excited when I made the purchase, and then of course research. I always research after I buy things, which is kind of a dumb way to buy stuff, but I thought that this was the complete thing. It's the complete first volume of it, and there was actually quite a few more volumes released in English, which I now will be tracking down. And that happens to be The Skullman by Kazuhiko Shimamoto and Shotaro Ishinomori. Now I was pretty excited about this because this is the same author as Cyborg 009, which is a fantastic manga. If you can get your hands on it, it's pretty hard to come by, but it is so worthwhile. It is fantastic. And this is based off of Shotaro Ishinomori's story. I believe he was involved in this, but I don't think he actually authored or illustrated it. I think this is more of a spin-off series of an original story that he had written by Kazuhiko Shimamoto. So the design, as well as some of the story, the plot, is Ishinomori's, but I don't think he was quite involved. I think he was actually quite sick when this came out, so he wasn't able to be working on manga. But you can see his influence, and even just sort of in the design of the main character, you can see Cyborg 009. It's all over this manga, so I'm looking forward to reading this. I think it'll be a ton of fun. At the very least, it's the first volume, so I can, you know, get a taste for the series, and hopefully I'll be able to collect more of the story in the future. Anyway, issue 1, issue 2, 3, 4, and the final one is 5. I bought a single issue of Kamui, or Legend of Kamui. This is by Sanpei Shirato. It's a fairly long series, but I couldn't afford to fill in everything. I think this takes me to about issue 20, so I have some of it already, and at least it gives me a good chunk that I can read. Again, another title that was released in a large size tankobon volume by Viz, so you can collect it this way or you can collect it that way. This is another title that that really deserves a reprint, so hopefully we'll see one in the future. I got another issue of Dirty Pair. This is issue 1, To Kill a Computer. This is the Sunrise Animation film comics, and basically what this is actually screen caps from the anime. So it's a little different than the rest of these manga, just because it's not really black and white drawings. It really is just cells, or, you know, screen captures from the anime itself, with speech bubbles on top. It's a lot of fun to read. I have a couple of issues of this already. I think this is complete. Pretty sure this is complete now. It actually smells brand new. It's got that new chemical smell, which is really weird. Was it bagged right when it was purchased? I don't know, but it's in good shape and I'm looking forward to reading it. Another issue, this one is for my sister, a single issue, Blackjack Under the Knife by Osamu Tezuka. My sister is a big fan of Blackjack, and so anytime we see anything Blackjack, it comes into our collection. We were unaware of this issue. We do have another one that's sort of a preview issue from Vertical, but this one was actually published from Viz. Viz also has a short kind of curated collection in a book volume, so maybe this is in that, or maybe this is something else. Don't know. Gonna have to do a little research. Like I said, don't research things before I buy it. But we're glad to have some more in our collection, and this is a fantastic series by Tezuka. If you're going to start somewhere, this is a really good one to start with. Hard to find though. Last time I had a big haul of single issues, I bought this title, so this completes the series because I wasn't able to fill these holes in earlier. Just 2 issues that I needed. This is Shadow Lady, The Awakening by Masakaze Katsura. The Awakening is just the subtitle for this particular chapter, so this is 6 of 7 of this particular chapter. And then we've got The Eyes of a Stranger, which is 3 of 5. And Masakaze Katsura is the same author as Video Girl Eye, which I read last year, I think, or in January. I don't remember when I read things. It was fantastic. I really, really liked it, and I am looking forward to reading more from this author. He also wrote Eyes, like I''S, and I'm not a big fan of that one. I've tried reading it a couple times. I do have it. The art in it is really beautiful, but I just can't really get into the character's mind. I can't really sympathize with the characters, so that one's a little bit hard for me to get into. So hopefully this one will be a little bit more fun, like the Video Girl Eye story was, and hopefully I'll get into it, because that one was really, really pretty great. I've been trying to collect this one in a tankobon or book volume, and I haven't been able to come by it, so I found 2 issues of it, which is great. I don't care what the edition looks like, as long as I can read the stories. So this is another title by Rumiko Takahashi. This is Rumic World, and I don't know how much of Rumic World was actually published in books, but I have issue 1, Fire Tripper, and issue 2, Laughing Target. I think these are short stories that are just like comedy short stories. I think that's what this is. Again, I don't really know anything about it. I just knew of their existence and I've been wanting to check it out. Yeah, so that's that. Here's another Rachel Thorne translated work. This one is They Were 11 by Moto Hagio. This is the title that is in 4 shoujo stories. Yeah, and it looks really great. Science fiction story. I have most, or at least I have all the titles that were published in English by Moto Hagio, so I believe there's another one that's coming out in the near future, which I can't wait to get my hands on. So anyway, this one completes the set. It's only 4 issues, so I have 3 and 4, and the art in it is really wonderful. I really love Moto Hagio. The more I read from her, the more I like her, and she does a lot of science fiction stories, but I just really like the world. I love the characters. I love kind of the conversations and the ideas that she explores. She's just a really unique artist, and her stories are just really, really fantastic. So if you haven't gotten into Moto Hagio, I would definitely recommend her, any of her stories. I haven't disliked any of them. I got a single issue of Sailor Moon. This is issue number 2. This is from the Mix line from Tokyo Pop. I just couldn't afford at the moment to pick up everything that was available, but I did pick the issue that had the nicest cover in my opinion, and this place I was buying from didn't have issue 1, so hopefully I'll be able to go back and grab some more, but I'm not able to at the moment. But I have been really enjoying rereading Sailor Moon. I know that she just came out with this really beautiful large size super fancy edition from Kodansha. Cannot wait to collect it. It looks so good. I flipped through it a few times. Yeah, it's going to be beautiful. So I don't really need to collect this particular edition. I like the cover. I like Sailor Moon. Just adding her to my collection because I need an issue of her. Just feels wrong to not. Another single issue. I don't feel quite as strongly about this title, but I just thought it was really cute. I do have this also in the Mix Edition comics. This is Corrector Yui by Kia Asamiya and Keiko Okamoto. This is kind of a magical girl story. I think she goes into a video game in this one. So yeah, I just thought it was fun to collect this one in a single issue. I don't have any need or desire to actually collect the whole thing, not unless it's like a penny a piece. I just wanted one issue just for fun. Another Rachel Thorne translated manga. See, a lot of Rachel Thorne in here. This one is Promise by Keiko Nishi. I actually picked this up because I noticed it was a single issue and I didn't have to worry about buying more, but also because it was by Keiko Nishi, who did another title that I have called Love Song, I think is what the title of it is, which is another collection of short stories. And that one is really quite good. So this one is actually another story in the 4 shoujo stories, like the They Were 11, so this is together with that. And it's just really great. I actually did read this one already and loved it. There's 2 short stories in it. They're just kind of heartbreaking and a little bit like nostalgic and just absolutely delightful. There is some writing in it by Rachel Thorne, which like actually made me cry. And yeah, it was really wonderful. So if you have a chance to collect this, I'd recommend it, particularly if you're a fan of shoujo manga, especially just sort of older shoujo manga, kind of shoujo manga that feels like it means something. This really felt like it meant something. The next title is new to my collection. It's not complete, but it's nearly there, and it's mostly short stories, or it's all short stories. So I should be able to, in theory, read it, but I don't feel comfortable picking up a series without having issue 1, and I am missing issue 1, so unfortunately I'm not going to be reading this for a little while. It is a title that I have seen in Paul Gravet's 1001 Comics to Read Before You Die book, and it's one that I've heard from other people as a good title to read, so I definitely wanted to own it, and at least I know that I only need 2 issues now to complete it. Hopefully I'll find it somewhere. And that's 2001 Nights by Yukinobu Hoshino. This is a science fiction story. I don't know what the story itself is, but I am trying to read through my Yukinobu Hoshino titles that I have in my collection. Currently I haven't read any, so I'm not really trying that hard, obviously. But I have 2 others. One is Professor Munetaka's British Museum Adventure, and one is escaping my mind. Let's see. Is it down there? Oh yeah. 2 Faces of Tomorrow. I haven't read either of them. I really want to. I really want to. I suspect I'm going to love it. I flipped through it a few times. His work, I mean, not these titles, but I suspect that I'm going to love it. And since it's in that book, and since I've heard of it so many times, I suspect I'm going to like this as well. So anyway, I ended up getting issue 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, and 9, and this is complete in 10 issues, so I have most of it except for those 3 issues that are missing, and it looks really nice, and it's actually, they're pretty decent size issues, so you can see that they're actually pretty thick, so I think it'll be at least a substantial read when I get to it. Again, another title that was published in a digest or tankobon or, you know, book volumes form, so if I can collect that, I'll collect this. Or maybe I'll collect both. I don't know how things are going to pan out, but hopefully I'll get my hand on an issue 1 sometime. And then my final title is the same final title that I had from my previous haul, but this one is in a different format, so yay. And this completes a series for me, and that's Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind. So I'm really happy to finally have all of the single issues of Nausicaa, now complete series. I have read it a few times. It's the first manga that got me into manga, so it's a really important one for me, and really need to have it in my collection in every single possible edition that I can get my hands on. But again, translated by Rachel Thorne, so she's all over this. Which is fantastic because I know that she's a great translator. So every time I see her name, I'm like, yes, good translation. So I'm really, really pleased with this, and I'm going to show you all the issues now. So we got issue 1, and this one actually has an exclusive poster by Mobius in it, which is kind of cool. So Mobius, or Gerard, he drew Nausicaa, and his poster is here in the front. As you can see, so that's fantastic. Actually, here we go. Fantastic. So she's in that forest. So that was really cool to see because I didn't expect that the poster would still be in there. There's also an interview between Mobius, or a conversation between Mobius and Miyazaki in this first issue. So if you're wondering, well, why would you collect so many editions of things? It's because of things like this that that's why you collect many issues. It's not just because you like it, but there's so many extra little perks in all the different formats, so I'm really pleased with this. I'm sure there's going to be little perks in a couple of other issues as well, but that one was particularly awesome. Issue 3, Issue 4, Issue 6, and 7, and these ones you can see a little bit, at least you can see how thick the spine is, so they're kind of a larger size single issue, and then moving on forward all the rest are actually quite a bit smaller. They're like regular single issues that you would expect to get comics in. So we've got part 4 now, which is issue 1, issue 2, which I think this might be my favorite cover. It's really, really fantastic, and issue 3, and then the last part, which is part 5, we've got issue 1, 4, and the cute finale, which is 5. So cute. I highly, highly recommend Nausicaa the Valley of the Wind. It's the reason I read manga, basically. So, yeah. My favorite thing to collect, probably. One of my favorite things to collect. I just like manga in general. But I really, really particularly love Nausicaa. It has a special place in my collection, special place in my heart. So, yeah. So this was a fantastic haul. Many issues. I love collecting single issues. I think it's so much fun, and they're, you have to collect so many in order to just get a little bit of story. So I really enjoy that, and I also just really like organizing them and putting them into my short boxes and just seeing them all there together. So I just really like collecting them, and I don't know that there's too many of us who are actually collecting single issues, so that's kind of an interesting thing. If you collect single issues, I'd love to hear it, particularly if they're manga, but if you collect other single issues, tell me what you're collecting. I'd love to know what's cool at the moment. Anyway, that's it for today's haul. If you've read any of these, would love to hear your thoughts on them. And anyway, that's all for now. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.